Alright, so the Taipei Game Show just took place, and there was a very brief Final Fantasy VII Rebirth presentation that took place at the show. There wasn't really too much new to go off of, but there were a few tidbits that did stick out to me. Plus, we actually did get some really cool extended battle footage with the party, Sephiroth, and even the summons, which looks really awesome. And there's also something we have to talk about and address involving Tifa Lockhart that is very, very close to my heart. So if any of that sounds cool to you, feel free to click the like button, and if you're new here and you'd like to stick around, you can subscribe as well. It is always appreciated. So before we get to the Taipei Game Show, we gotta talk about Tifa Lockhart in Tekken 8. For years, myself and other Final Fantasy and Tekken fans have been screaming to the high heavens, please, can we get Tifa into a Tekken game? Unfortunately, she never made it into Tekken 7. However, with the recent release of Tekken 8, which might have the greatest fighting game campaign story mode I've ever seen, that thing is seriously incredible from beginning to end, especially the last few battles that you do, they are insane. The campaign to get Tifa into Tekken is now reaching a fever pitch, to the point where it has reached Kazuhiro Harada himself. Now, if you do not know who Harada is, he is a massive face in the fighting game community. He works over at Bandai Namco in their fighting game division, and he's been with Tekken since, I believe, Tekken 2. So he's pretty much the face of Tekken, and when people want stuff in Tekken, or they go to these events and they present new Tekken stuff, Harada is there. He plays the game, he sometimes competes in tournaments, he's at the Tekken World Tour every year to meet the players and congratulate the winner. He's really awesome when it comes to the fans, and he infamously does have a catchphrase that he uses on people where he says,
"Shut up, shut up, shut up and sit the head down, and don't ask me for shit, okay?"
Because people like myself often want something from him or to put something in Tekken, and obviously that is Tifa for Tekken 8. And I bring this all up because with Tekken 8 coming out, the groundswell of support is so massive that Tifa has now officially become the most requested character to be put into Tekken 8. And Harada has now seen that, and he's responded on Twitter by saying, "We all know she is attractive, and I understand that, but as yet we have not decided anything about guest characters." Now, we all know Tifa is an attractive character, but I don't think that's what Harada is talking about here. It might just be like a translation thing. I think he just means that we all realize that Tifa as a character would be very appealing to have in a fighting game like Tekken. She just makes all the sense in the world. She's a fighter. Her moveset and combo list would be insane. She just slots into Tekken so perfectly. And I did a video last year talking about how you could take Tifa and integrate her into the story of Tekken 8, so that way she has a reason to be there, and we went over like her move list and all of the cool special abilities and attacks that she could do, her rage arts, and now there's the heat mode in Tekken 8. There's so much you could do with Tifa in Tekken. So the fact that Harada has now seen how much people want Tifa in the game, it doesn't guarantee that Tifa will make it into Tekken 8, but at least Harada now knows, hey, there's a huge demand for this character to make it into our game, and I think they would be up to the challenge to incorporate Tifa and get her into Tekken 8. My one request though is to have the option to have English and Japanese voice acting. I really love Britt Baron's portrayal of Tifa in 7 Remake, and I would love to have her come back to do the voice of Tifa for Tekken 8, should she end up in that game one day. So moving on to the Taipei Game Show, again, there wasn't really a ton of new information here. It was pretty much a repeat of stuff we already knew, and also the TGS presentation, but there were a few tidbits again that did stick out to me. Now, this entire presentation was presented in, I believe, Mandarin, Chinese, and Japanese. So thankfully, Audrey on Twitter took the time to sit and translate the entire presentation so that way we could understand what was going on. And the first thing I have to start off with is the beginning of the presentation, because it featured the Rebirth co-director Motomo Toriyama, as well as the game's battle director Teruki Endo at this panel. And at the beginning of the panel, they were given a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sign to hold, so that way the media could take photos of them. But the sign was crooked. So the host of the panel kept going in every so often trying to help them adjust the sign so that way it wasn't crooked. I know this is probably not funny to anyone else, but it's getting really late here and I think I'm getting a little bit delirious, and I just thought that that was super funny for whatever reason. But the footage I'm going to be playing in the background is just random stuff from the presentation as well as that extended battle footage. So to bring up the two things in this event that stuck out to me the most, again, we are pulling from Audrey on Twitter. I will leave a link in the description down below if you'd like to check out her profile and follow her. I highly recommend it. She does a lot of really great work, not just in the Final Fantasy community, but in the Square Enix community in general. But this first thing that really stood out to me is something that we knew before, and that's Cloud's affinity with characters can change. He can grow closer to these characters and they can unlock new abilities. You can take specific characters with you on different side quests. That all sounds great. But this one thing stood out for me from Toriyama. Again, this comes to us from Audrey, where they say, depending on how you respond to questions your character asks you, this will change your affinity with them. This also affects how they will perform in battle. Now, we did know about this affinity stuff, but this line here is a little confusing to me. This affects how they perform in battle. Now, I think this might be a translation thing, and I think what they mean is that the closer Cloud gets to a party member, the more stuff you can unlock on their skill tree, which is something we discussed in past videos. So if you get really close to Aerith, you can unlock new combo attacks and synergy attacks with Aerith and Cloud. So I think that's what they mean here. I don't think it's a situation where if you neglect Tifa, for example, suddenly she's going to be slower in battle or do less damage. So I think the former is what they're talking about there. And of course, because there's different character combinations within the party system and the side quests, you can replay through multiple chapters many times to use different characters to get different character responses and potentially cutscenes. And then the second thing is involving Costa del Sol. This was from Toriyama. He says, the story may be very serious, but there are times when Cloud and the others can take a break. They'll go to the resort area, Costa del Sol, and change into more comfortable clothes to relax. There is also a story here that does not appear in the OG. So this is really cool. This confirms that Costa del Sol will have brand new side content perhaps, or even main story content that involves the party a little more. So it might not just be a destination where they relax. It looks like there might be a little more going on in Costa del Sol, and obviously we can change our outfits there. But as for the battle footage, we get extended footage with Yuffie fighting alongside Red 13, which looks like it's in that Cosmo Canyon area perhaps. We get more in-depth footage of Sephiroth and Cloud in the Nibelheim flashback, which is super cool. But we really do focus a lot on the summons. We have an extended sequence where Cloud summons Titan onto the battlefield, and we see the party fighting alongside Titan before he does his ultimate attack and then leaves the battlefield. But it looks insanely good. They show Kujata, they show Odin, they show Phoenix and Bahamut. But the one shot, oddly enough, that stood out to me was the VR battle with Alexander. Now, we saw a brief shot of this in previous trailers, but it's a little extended here where we see Alexander hit the party with its main attack. And the shot of the party in the VR simulator looks insane. The graphical fidelity, the details, the color, the lighting, it looks ridiculously beautiful. And I cannot wait to actually witness this game in person to see it for myself on my television. And then one of the other shots that really stood out to me was Odin laying the smackdown on the Midgar Zalem. He's on this big cliffside above Cloud. He jumps off of it and hits the Midgar Zalem with his final Zantenzuken, which looks incredible. So again, there's not too much to go off of from this presentation. A lot of it is stuff we already knew, but those two tidbits from Audrey really stood out to me, and it might just be a translation thing here and there. But to end this video, we have to talk about the demo for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. A lot of people have been asking for it. Nothing has appeared so far officially by Square Enix, but if I had to put money on it, I would assume that January 31st is when they'll announce a demo for Rebirth, or potentially just drop the demo, because if I'm not mistaken, that is the 27-year anniversary for Final Fantasy VII OG in Japan. So it would make sense for them to release the demo worldwide on that date so we can all finally play it. And when it does drop, I'll be doing a playthrough of it here on the channel if you guys would like to check that out. But that is the video video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you someone who has a Final Fantasy and Tekken crossover? And if so, do you want to see Tifa make it into Tekken 8 as a playable guest character? Because I certainly do. And what did you guys think of this extended battle footage and also the graphics of the game? Did they blow you away as much as they blew me away? Maybe it's because, again, I'm very tired and everything is making me a little delirious right now. But either way, I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.